King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. Ball is life, and that's a fact. And a baller's life, about that exact. King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. There's a time to score and a time to assist. Ain't no I in team, let the winning commence. From generation to generation, game don't stop. The new and old school got the game on lock. It's all legendary, it's all necessary. We all been all-stars before February. And after that, King and Yates, after racks. But really trying to get some wins, not just padding stats.
BTG Nation, what's happening?
Listen, they bridging the gap. They bridging the gap. They
Hold on, always going 2 times for the champ.
Listen, they bridging the gap. They bridging the gap. They
Man, we here. This is hump day. This is hump day, guys. Tuesday for us is hump day because by then we done been in the gym about 17 hours. It feel like at least minimum days before, and so BTG Nation, we're back in action. Episode 22, we right? Episode 22, season 3, here live from the First Collection Hotel in Jumeirah Village Circle, Dubai. Hoop Mountain Dubai, Hoop Mountain DXB. You guys know where to find us online, on Instagram, all those good things. OG, what's happening, man? What's your mental health check that's going like, man?
Exhaustion.
Oh, man.
Exhaustion. You know, we talked about us having hump day. People don't know what our Sundays look like, you know. Starting at 9 a.m. in the gym and leaving at 8 p.m., 8:30. It's a long day, man. And, you know, Monday's supposed to be recovery day, but we still got, you know, administrative duties.
I'm in the gym.
Other practices. So it's rough, man. But, you know, typically when we get through with this is a little therapeutic for me. So once I get through this, I'm all right for the rest of the week.
And it's funny because last year, Sunday has always been a thing for us, right? Sunday has always been something. But last year, here you go, champ. Last year, it was crazy because we used to play after. Right? Yeah. And so this year, the first part of the year, it was like after 5:30, we go to the crib, right? Yeah. But as always, we got to keep pushing, right? You can't be stagnant. And so we added the big game league to the joint. Yeah. And then even then, we got to split between the two of us, and you got to go one, and I got to go another. So that's what makes it really crazy. Yeah. Like we got a longer Sunday now than we've ever had before.
For sure.
Right. And it's worth it, though. Yeah. It's worth it. And so how was that, this big game league, that update, you know? We got to start calling out the well, I'm going to talk to them about that, but we might got to start calling out stats and things weekly. Because by the time the pod come out, you know, it's right before the next games come. But we'll talk about that.
You know, don't worry about stats right now. The only stats we care about is records.
Yeah. How the U10 doing?
We've hit a little roadblock there. Yeah. You know, we started out 2-0, and we've dropped 2 since then. You know what I mean? So we got to pick it up.
Yeah, but they're learning how to win, though, because we won, one game last season?
Yep.
We won one game last season. And so what I know is all the games that we've lost have been hard fought.
Yeah.
Nail biters.
And to be honest, you know, we won a 10U league. Most of our guys started last year at 8.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, you know, so it is what it is. The thing is they're getting better. The parents see it, you know, and, you know, of course, parents want to win. Kids want to win, you know, but – you know, it's about them getting better. Because, you know, our 12U, 14U, 16, that's when we really, really start to really concern ourselves with wins and losses. So we on the right track.
But even then, that's still hard.
Yeah.
But this year, at least for now, it's still hard because what it takes to win, everybody not buying all the way in for that.
Yeah. Well, it's the first time that a lot of them have been given roles and responsibilities and been held accountable.
Yeah.
You know, and that's whether it's in school, at home, whatever. So it's the first time. So it's tough, man.
Yeah. It's a hell of a lesson that you get taught as a basketball player because, you know, we just talked to one of the young bucks before about not letting, last night, about not letting personal things off the court dictate how you perform on the court.
Right.
Right, and that's like vital because although you can't completely separate personal from business and all the other good stuff, you still got to be able to understand like when you go home, you go home.
Yep.
When you go to work, you handle work the way it's supposed to be done. Like everybody around you that works, whatever I deal with at home, I can't put that on you,
Right.
and vice versa. Now, if we got a relationship, I can talk to you about it, but I can't put that on there and let that affect relationships and business.
Right.
Kids are learning that now.
Yeah. They're learning, man. It's not about you. It's everybody.
Yeah, that's tough. And then we got 12U. How the 12U looking?
12, you looking good. But we know we just had a hard-fought win this past weekend. And, we made things a little tougher than it should be.
That's all.
And we got some cats that won't be here next Sunday. So we get a win, and then we got cats leaving. But
Where they going?
Man, we got some cats traveling to the U.S.
Oh,
But yeah,
man.
but
Man.
but we're in Dubai.
Yeah, that
Anything's
happens.
possible, But our 12U looks good though. I'm happy with them. They scrap.
Yeah.
They scrap. They make some of the same mental mistakes, but they scrap.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple people, probably highlight them at the last episode, but there's a couple kids, and I'll give credit to their family who've made really, really huge strides. And what we know is you can get like incrementally better on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But when you got full support of your parents and they're like helping egg that on, that right there, because immediately I'm thinking of Zuby.
Yeah.
And Zuby has come a long way. Long way.
Yeah.
And he's one of our like core guys.
Yeah.
And he's playing both ages.
Yeah, he's
right?
balling.
Balling. And he's staying in the gym for practice for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And not letting up.
Yeah.
Love that kid. Love that family.
Yeah. I'm hate to see him go.
Man.
Yeah.
U14. What we got there. And that's U14 was one that we were really high on.
Right, but
We had a couple drop offs.
Had a couple kids drop off, a couple kids move. A couple guys had to move up. I mean, so it's a rebuilding process for them.
Crazy.
Yeah, rebuilding, man.
Yeah.
But
they bumping though.
yeah, they go hard.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. They go hard.
Yeah, that's true. Did they get a win yet?
Yep.
Yeah,
They
we
won
got a
last
win.
Sunday. Yep.
That's love. That's love. Hold on, let's get some.
Shit, they got serious.
That's real because it's hard fought. They earned every bit of that one right
For
there.
sure.
And then we got our U16 boys and young ladies.
Yep.
Yeah, this is like psychology.
Right. Yeah.
Once you get to that 16, it's like psychology. Now this is something you probably got to speak more about because you already knew what was going to happen as far as teenagers getting them to play together. Like you prepared for that type of stuff.
No, you can't prepare for any.
True. You got some experience though.
I got
think
some
that.
experience,
I think
but you can't prepare for what a teenager is going to do, and you put a group of them together. That's the unknown. Our 16U girls, I can say each game they're getting better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like drastically better. The only problem is that they're so young that they can't get over the hump sometimes to keep them close in the games. And, and it starts to, they get frustrated, and they get tired because, we don't have the numbers that we were supposed to have every game. And, it's easy for someone to say, oh, this just ain't our night. But we finally got them to the point now. They just fight to the end, man. And that's what you want because at some point in time, they're going to be of age where they'll be similar to everybody else, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I just know that finally now I've been able to get back in and get on the sideline and coach and get some of those games after the birth of Rashad and everything. And so I know some of these parents look at us and think that we're crazy because you and I kind of do some of the similar things just knowing that this is about teaching. And so I was yelling at those girls to run plays that we practiced on and everything. I was yelling at them to finally get it, but when it's time to get in the game, people just, there's pressure, it's going so fast, they just forget. And so I got so angry in the third quarter because it was our ball going into the half, and I drew up specifically what to do, called names out there, and they go out there and they don't even get in the same arrangement, right? And so I called timeout, but it's FIBA rules, right? So I can't call the timeout when we have the ball,
Right.
right?
It's going to be dead ball.
And so what I'm thinking that she can call timeout as a player, he said nah, and so we shoot, and I make them foul somebody. I said, foul her right now. And then I get out on the court and I line everybody up and 4 down without a ball, and I make them run. Very next play, when we get the ball, they run it correctly. Uligata gets the ball and goes and gets fouled and gets an and one. Parents on the sideline laughing and clapping. Because they're like, man, here we go.
We're teaching, man.
If you just do it, right? Your favorite out of bounds play line, we scored on that thing 3 times. 2 times we didn't run it correctly and we got a score. And then the 1 time we ran it perfectly, shout out to Sana because she set a screen and she was happy about it. Wide open layup. And I was like, see, there we go. But again, like you said, I always remind myself of the reality.
Yeah.
You just got to be happy with the small keystone wins going here because they're just beginning.
Yep.
They're just beginning. And so shout out to them. 16U boys is another thing. But for the girls, there's a special showing on the vlog coming up this week. And so make sure all of you that follow Hoop Mountain, you get ready for the next vlog installment. There's a nice little get together there you guys don't want to miss. 16U boys.
Yep. And before we go, make sure you remind me. We need to pass out something tomorrow, starting tomorrow, about the vlog series.
Yes.
We need.
Yes.
So you give me that tonight or in the morning.
He did tell me. He said, Coach, I watched all of them. Yeah. So, all right, that's cool.
I'm sure he did. That's our boy right there, man.
16U boys, man.
Can't get out of their own way.
On and off the court.
Yeah, on and off the way. And we're, and it's not that we're ultra talented. Mm-hmm. But we are good together.
Yeah.
We have good pieces. We just need them to do their individual job.
Yeah.
Every time. When you go to work, go to work.
Yeah.
And that's just it, man. Just keeping everybody on the same page, just on the same script and just playing. They play hard.
Yeah.
We just got to get them doing everything together.
Yeah. And we'll talk playing with expectations. Because we'll have to talk about that when we go into the NBA stuff. But playing with expectations is different. Because for most of our guys, nobody's ever put any expectations onto them.
Right.
Nobody's ever expected them to be good, to produce, to think, to operate this way and do things this way on and off the court. And so now they're kind of feeling like stuck, like, man, how do I do? Am I capable of that? And so we're trying to groom them into that space. But, that's a tough one right there. That's a tough one, especially because they're about to be young men.
Yep.
And so, man, let's get into some of the personal talk. That bump and run. We've been getting some good bumping consistently now. Like,
sure.
It's been some good bump. A couple of times where I know my team has had our way. It's been nice now to where we get to put each other on somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Usually we guard each other depending on who's there.
But why when in the clutch you guard me?
Listen, I gave them a lot of chances, and we need another win. We counted out the numbers, and I needed another win.
You know what I'm saying? But that's going against the concept that we have in terms of like
nah.
guard each other.
And a part of it too, I was telling Martin, shout out to Martin, I hope you watch. I told Martin, I said, stop letting coach shoot warm-up jumpers. You guys know how it is in between games when people are getting there. If you see a guy that's a shooter and he tries to grab the ball and get 3 or 4 shots in just to see it go in, do not let him do it. That very next game, you hit 3. And when you go into 7, 3 shots is big. Yeah, 3 shots is big. Yeah. And the game winner was a turnaround. And I said, Martin, you see why I said? And he was like, yeah, you're right. And so then I had to go off on the next one and score 7-0. But I was tired.
I know.
That last game, I was tired. Like, I'm not in shape to do that right now. Like, moves still feeling a little bit shaky. Like, I'm just trying to get some run. But bump and run, let's talk about that community, man. Shout out to them.
Man, it's what we trying to duplicate what we do back home, which is, get a big group of people to get together and play a couple times a week and go hard with each other. But, off the court, get a chance to bond a little bit and just have a sense of community. And that's what basketball is, man. It's a social sport. We shouldn't be playing for 2 hours and all of a sudden everybody just disappear. We check each other, see what the next move is, what you're doing off the court, how's your family doing, da-da-da-da. Talk about the next bump. Talk about the games we just had. That's what we want. Because our young guys that play with us, they see all that stuff, they hear that stuff, and that's going to translate to them in terms of helping us with our teams and helping them with with their their social lives and things like that, and teach them not to be so closed in. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody with mobile phones, social media, you know what I'm saying? Nobody knows how to talk to each other anymore. You know
absolutely.
So this is good, man.
Yeah. It's so cool, too, because it's growing now.
Right.
Like, our parents and that were with us initially and some of the people that we've had, Taha's our guy from coaching him.
Shout out to Wollongong.
Shout out to Wollongong, right? And we finally got that name right. Of those past episodes, we was in the studio, we was torturing that thing, right? But now we got it to where they're bringing in a guy here and a guy there, but they're bringing in a guy that they can vouch for first.
Quality people.
Because they know that, like, we ain't just taking that. For example, right? We got a group chat. And the one thing that we've come accustomed to is the way WhatsApp is used here. And I've been in a bunch of WhatsApp groups around here to where, they put you in a WhatsApp group and they say, hey, who's going to hoop tonight? And it may be 150 people in there. And what they'll do is they'll put a list and say, hey, if you want to play, you got to put your name on this list. And they keep copying and pasting those things. And, it's us. It's just simple. Like, yo, I'm coming. That's it.
Yeah, I said it clearly on just you in or you out. That's
right.
it.
And so, they got some people that don't know us, that hasn't seen us yet. And so there's a guy, brand new, I don't know who brought him into the chat, but it was somebody else's suggestion, was like, yo, you guys gonna make a list? And immediately I got a little heated. Because some of those people that ask who's gonna be there, they're asking, like, trying to compare to see if it's gonna be worth it or whatever else. First of all, none of you are that good. None of you are that good. And for us, we're going to hoop whether there's 2 people there, 3 people there, 4 people, 8, 10, 20, or whatever, because we just love to hoop. If you ain't that type of guy, don't ask about no list. Because nobody's name or face card out here is that heavy for you to be like, yo, who all going to be here?
I ain't saying that. I'm old and washed up, so I ain't saying nothing.
Nobody, King. Nobody. These dudes acting like they the second coming of Braun. they the French cat. Like, just come to the gym and hoop. As simple as that, We need some energy, though. We had a rough week. I had a rough Sunday, crazy flat tire. Like, I almost want to show you, like, the stomach was messed up. You see me dressed up. It's not because, the episode is where the prom.
I thought you were just trying to sun me or something.
Nah, like, the wife she been cooped up.
Right.
We finally got a nanny. Shout out to her. She's helping. So we're gradually getting there. But she's just been like, yo, I've been in the house. I'm drained. We got to go get some food or something. And so we went to go to a little spot called the Bungalow, and it was fire.
Yeah, I know about that.
On Nikki Beach, right? Yeah, it was fire. It was crazy. So I'm here straight from that. And so we still in our space. Last episode we gave everybody a little Philly mix because it's about making sure the audio folks got some love. And I'm back, right? Last week, that was just me, right? But I had to call a professional. Somebody give us some energy. And so my guy, DJ Lee Bueller, you guys know him from the past episode, the Queens Get the Money guy, And so he's going to be blessing us with a mix each week, different vibe. And I told him we needed some energy. We needed some springtime love. We needed all that. And so YouTube group, this is only for the audio folks right here. And so audio people on that commute, we took a little while to get into it, but I got you. Right here, we getting live into the mix. King has not heard it, and so don't be surprised when the hack starts to catch on fire and he throws it up like Smurda.
But right now it's star time.
Let's go.
Man, you chose to be soul brother number 1.
Let me show you something.
Bueller.
It's the hottest
Bueller.
thing, and it's on its way to the top.
Bueller.
Step
A
up
little
front.
energy for you.
You dig? Get down with the bus stop.
Bueller.
You are now tuned in to the world's famous Lee Bueller.
Let's go. Man, King, what's up, King?
Listen, they bridging the gap.
Well, King,
They bridging the gap. They
Yeah,
Shit, they got serious.
I just had a moment in the past.
Hey,
baby.
that's what we trying to do.
Like all good vibes.
Listen, man. For our audio listeners, that's for you guys. We know it's different. We trying to give you some energy. It felt good for us. Make sure you passing it along. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you want to hear. And we'll start a BTG playlist too so you guys can know what's on there. And we'll have our DJ Lee Bueller give his mixes, and then me and Coach add 3 pieces to them as well. But man, that right there made me think of vacation, OG.
That was crazy.
Vacation, like vacation spots. And Madeira in Portugal is one of my spots that I'm trying to get to. And I got a couple of them. There's a couple of them.
Portugal, huh?
Yeah, Portugal. 'Cause I want to get to that black sand beach.
Fish.
Of course, you know that's my thing.
Fish is
Yeah.
and super box.
Yeah,
That's not
super
your stuff
vodka.
anymore.
Not
It's me,
anymore.
but-
Not anymore. But let's get into the action right here.
Yeah.
Because our people on YouTube, they definitely have been waiting. And the people in the community that see have been waiting for us to talk basketball.
Okay.
Really get into it. And so let us first start by showing love, respect for the legend himself, Carmelo Anthony. Thank you, Melo. Thank you for the 19 seasons. Thank you for being you. Thank you for always representing Baltimore. Thank you for always bringing your A game. Thank you for battling the stereotypes, the narratives, the cloud that comes with coming in at the same time as Bron and still being you. Thank you for the moments in Syracuse. Thank you for the moments in the Garden. Thank you for what you've done in Denver, no matter what Denver does to not give you credit. Because we know what Denver was before you got there.
Trash.
What you talking? Their uniforms used to suck. They gave, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everything. The best signature shoe that Jordan ever gave out to anybody. Anybody else that has a signature shoe from that lineup weak. You know, I love you, CP, but it ain't what Melo's was. But Melo, 19 seasons. After 19 seasons, Melo is number 9 all time in scoring. Top 75 player of the year. A player of all time. 10-time All-Star, scoring champ, 6-time All-NBA. And somebody who, think about this, you got to 9 on the scoring list after being blackballed and put out the league for 2 or 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. Think about where he would have been. He probably would have been on pace to be top 4.
Right.
It's animal. Everybody who plays against you has said nothing but great things, right? And so, again, hats off to you, Melo. Pound for pound, one of the greatest scorer, if not probably top 5, with the ability to do everything.
Skill set was incredible, man, for his height.
Man,
Incredible. Footwork, impeccable. You know he's got a flamethrower. Just mid-range, just crazy.
physical, long night, and so he had a cool breakdown though. And so on his announcement, it was like a TV thing that popped up, and he said his farewell to the game, but then he included his son. And so at the last 45 seconds, it was his son looking at the TV and him talking through the TV, and it's like, I'm passing it on to you. It's yours now, you know. And then they playing one-on-one together. Like, it was dope. It was dope. And now, anything you want to say before we move on to that? So, you know, for Melo, Cayenne, anything there?
Man, well, first of all, his son is nice. So I expect big things from him. But Melo himself, man, listen, just coming out, you know, and people say in the shadow of LeBron, you know how people say LeBron exceeded expectations? Melo exceeded expectations in terms of being in his shadow. You know what I'm saying? And going to Denver first and things like that. He's just a bad man. He's one of the greatest scorers of all time, one of the greatest competitors. Yeah. You know, unfortunate that he did get blackballed for a couple years, you know, and he never cried about it. That's what I respect about him the most. He just played. He waited for his opportunity to get back on certain teams, whatever, and he just balled out. That was it. So, shout out to you, man. Enjoy life. Don't worry, you know what I'm saying? Don't worry about these cats anymore.
Stay mellow.
Yep.
Stay mellow. Now let's get into the NBA, man, because it's hard to as of today, the Lakers have gotten swept. The Celtics are on their way to possibly getting swept, but most likely losing the series regardless. And so It's been an interesting year for the Lakers.
Yeah.
It's been a very interesting year. But all of the media is going to talk about the Lakers. So let's start with the Nuggets. Let's start with the Nuggets.
Let's give them some love for sure.
Yeah, let's be realistic, right? This was a 1-7 matchup.
Yep.
The Nuggets have been number one all year.
Yep.
The Nuggets upgraded their roster because they added KCP.
Yep.
They added Bruce Brown. And
Murray's healthy.
Yeah, Murray's healthy. Michael Porter Jr. is healthy. You added Aaron Gordon, too, as well, who works well. And so I believe they said Calvin Booth is in the front office there. Mm-hmm. He added the perfect pieces around Joker. You talking about somebody who can play off the ball and Bruce Brown. You add Jeff Green as well.
Ultimate bench guy.
Man, and a vet.
20 minutes a game, he's going to make something happen.
Yeah, number one offense in the league, right? And then they got better defensively because that used to be the knack on them. You know, they had to make a defensive stop to win the game last night.
Yep.
And so the Nuggets are definitely a championship team, or definitely the better team. They were supposed to win that one. They did. Of course, me as a Laker fan, I picked the Lakers, of course, in 6 regardless. And so I'll always do that, even when we're not supposed to win. But the Nuggets, talk about Mike Malone, though.
Man, it's just he just did a hell of a job. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about this year because the pieces were there for this year. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the years before when the roster was a little shaky. Murray was injured and Joker was kind of like by himself often because injuries and personnel weren't available, and he kept them steady.
Yeah.
He kept them steady. And so it was just a matter of time once they got everything together. It's going to be the perfect storm. And this is the perfect storm because they got length across the board. They got Joker, who's a generational talent. And they got all the supporting pieces that know their job and relish in their job. And he's just done a hell of a job keeping them together, man, and changing up schemes each series depending on who their opponent is. And you got to put him up there. I don't know. People were killing him a couple years ago saying that, they can't get over the hump because, Joker was MVP and all this shit. Listen, he's one of the top coaches in the league.
Yeah.
Hands down, no question.
For sure. And that's the one thing about that MVP award, because that brings a different type of pressure.
Yes.
Right? And so it's probably a good thing that he didn't get the MVP this year just for his mental, his time, the press and everything else, because now there's no pressure on him on that way.
And extra motivation.
Because,
truthfully speaking,
he could have won.
He could have won it.
It's like Giannis could have won anything else. And so the Joker is, and you might correct me if I'm wrong, from the stories that I heard, he is who Sabonis would have been if he got to the league during his prime.
Yep, exactly.
Right? But probably shoots it a little bit better.
He shoots it a lot better.
Yeah,
but in terms of getting a bucket in the paint, in terms of creating havoc, in terms of finding the open man and his passing ability, that's Sabonis.
Yeah, and so whoever was handling Joker, and when he was over there, they got him over here at the right time. The Joker and Murray combined is probably, I don't know, you have to correct me, but I don't think we've seen a pick and roll that lethal. Of course, everybody was talking about Stockton and Malone.
Yeah.
But Malone doesn't give you 13, 15, 14 different options himself out of the pick and roll. Right? He gonna pick and pop. It's gonna be great because he's a great screener. He gonna knock somebody block off. But when you talk about the way Murray can score off this pick and roll, the way he can still make the reads, but then if he passes it back to Joker, Joker can score anywhere, and Joker sees plays 3 and 4 plays ahead. That's probably, I don't know if there is a better combination of pick and roll.
In today's league, no.
Definitely not now.
No,
but
no, not. But for sure, they're definitely one of the greatest duos ever, I think, to run the pick and roll. And remember, I said Murray would be the difference.
Yeah.
I said this a couple years ago.
You did.
I said he's a monster. Oh, of course, we know Joker. Listen, Joker's Joker.
Yeah.
But you always got to have that second guy, and Murray is that second guy.
Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure about Murray because regular season it wasn't consistent because he hasn't been an all-star yet. I'm not saying he doesn't have all-star talent, but he hasn't been an all-star yet. And some of that had to do with consistency throughout the regular season, which is tough, right? But that's what makes players who they are. Yep. And so this year he got fully healthy. He was reassured by Mike Malone and the guys that he was going to have full support from the team.
Yeah.
And so now you get this. And then he averaged 32 points this series, right? And, you know, our guards didn't average that combined, right? And so, you know, Austin Reeves did his thing, but we'll get to the next. Bruce Brown, you know, those type of role players. And KCP was playing like he was pissed off that we traded him, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
You know, because now we look like, damn, we needed him because we couldn't play any of our wings.
Yep.
We couldn't play any of our wings. And so it looks like Nuggets and Heat. But before we get to the East Coast, we got to talk about the losing squad.
Blow them up.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people don't want to hear this, but listen. It all starts and finishes with AD. Like, stop all the LeBron stuff. Man, listen, LeBron was supposed to be number 2 in this point in his career. He's not supposed to be scoring 40 in you know what I'm saying?
30 in the first half.
Just to try to get one game. You know what I'm saying? He's 38 years old with more miles on him than anybody in NBA history in terms of, like, playoff minutes.
And he's playing hurt, King.
Yeah. You know, AD, you got to be a dog, man. Sorry.
You know, the worst part is that, like, it feels like Darvin Ham has been there for 5 years.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
It does.
Because we literally had 2 completely different seasons.
Yeah.
Because I had to sit and remember I said this earlier in the season. I hated the fact that media was starting to say that the Lakers were a championship team.
Yeah.
I hated that because now you're starting to put certain things into our plate that started making some people who've never been there before feel like, oh shit, we got a chance. All we got to do is just show up now. Like, we lost because of the same bad habits that made us 2-10 at the beginning of the season. And yes, granted, we have a completely different roster, but we didn't have any continuity. AD was still AD. Darvin Ham didn't have a full breakdown to get everybody really understanding how he wants to play as far as aggressiveness, boxing out. Because Darvin Ham is about toughness.
Yep.
He's about toughness.
Yeah.
And we didn't have that. And so I would say this year is a success considering we started off with Russ, Pat Bev, Thomas Bryant, all that.
In somebody's eyes like LeBron, damn the success. He's trying to get to the final. When you have a chance.
And whose fault is that first? Front office.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's where it's like Darvin Ham really had a miracle. He did a miracle thing with this space right here. Right, for them to get tight, become the number 1 defense in the league towards the end of the season. After you start 2-10, Darvin Ham, you solidified yourself in that space. And so there were some funny things. Courtside of 2 games with Kyrie Irving and Trae Young, 2 Laker games. And now we had somebody ask me at the bump and run, he'd be like, yo, why did D'Angelo Russell play so bad in this series, but the first 2 series he was good, right? He had a crazy plus or minus. And basically, if you just look at his head-to-head matchup, Murray was killing it, right? Rui and Reeves were playing great. AD had some moments, and Braun was playing great. You needed D'Lo to get you over the hump because on the other side, KCP might get 20 here, Aaron Gordon going crazy here, this and that. D'Lo was the difference maker. He didn't even start last game. You had to bring him off the bench. It was so bad. And so one guy, Frank, asked me, he said, why do players have dips like that when they get to different matchups? What would you say to that?
It's all in your mentality, your approach to the game. If you, a player like D'Lo, super talented, but you've never seen him get down and get dirty and do some of the other things that it takes to win.
Now, what would you say I'll break it down. Getting dirty would be fighting over top of a screen, taking a charge here, you know what I'm saying, going in for some offensive rebounds in the middle of a crowd, you know, going outside of your area to get a defensive rebound. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Not settling for jumpers all the time.
Getting to the foul line.
Putting the pressure on the defense. You know, it's little things like that. You know what I mean? We've never seen, that's not his game. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, we can say that's not his game, but as you progress as a professional player, you've been in the league for a certain amount of time, and you get to a situation where you have an opportunity to advance, you got to do different things.
Yep.
That's just bottom line. Do whatever it takes to win, and he's not one of those players.
Yep.
And so now against Denver, with Murray playing so well, you got to do those things. You got to do those things. You know what I'm saying?
Matchups play big part in that.
Yep.
Like it's just sometimes when, because basketball is mental. It's a mental gymnastics. It's some moments where some players get across from other people and they just cower.
Yeah.
They just like, look, that man is better than me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take it, or they're just not good enough.
Yeah. Or you sometimes you just won't accept your role. I mean, think about it. If you're somewhere else, you're averaging 19, 20, you come play with AD and LeBron, you're not going to average 20, but they need you to get 20 some nights. You know what I'm saying? But those other nights you don't get 20, what else are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So you got to accept your role, man. Look, you look at all the teams that have won championships over the past 30, 40 years in the NBA. It's always somebody that does the things that no one else would do.
Yep.
That's just bottom line.
Yep, and we're going to get to that too, because now the reason why I brought Kyrie Irving and Trae Young up and then mentioned D'Lo the next thing is because D'Lo, not only did you look across the court and see Murray torching y'all, but then you got to sit and you see, I know he saw Kyrie Irving and Trae Young sitting there. They just looking like, yeah, you just did a Harrison Barnes performance, and so I know they coming for me. Like, you just made it so easy for the Lakers to be like, all right, you got to go, because we got to re-sign either Rui, Reeves, and D'Lo. It's for sure not gonna be D'Lo. Rui gonna get re-signed. Reeves gonna get re-signed. Now D'Lo, you just made it so easy to get you up out the door, right? It's crazy. Now AD, last night, you want to know who the big was that gave us the most presence, the most energy, and really affected the game in his time more than any big that played? Tristan Thompson. Dead ass, coach. He came in, he had 8 points, playing great defense, disruptive, dunked on somebody, screaming on them, knocking people out, just fighting, just getting it. Tristan Thompson didn't get signed until the last week of the season. Like this, those are the type of things. I've said it before, King, and I say it now. I don't think AD should be in a Laker jersey anymore. Yeah. I think it's time for him to go. And this is why. After the game, Bron says, I got a lot to think about as far as my future playing basketball. As of this moment, I'm not sure that I'll be back for training camp in the fall. AD, that's your fault. Bron talking about an early retirement, and you know LeBron need a farewell tour. NBA not going to let LeBron have his retire like that. Like, you know he need a farewell tour. Right. He's talking about, hey, I'm okay without playing with Bronny. AD, that is your fault. Get him out of there. So that I'm thinking that, one, he might really be thinking about it because his body hurt. He playing with some knuckleheads. Y'all seen Kobe face when he had to play with Julius Randle and them. It's different. And so he playing with some knuckleheads too. People a little slow. League looking a little different. And so he might be like, look, I played on an injured foot and y'all still couldn't get me over the top without me doing too much. I might really need to just retire. On the day that Melo just announced his retirement. Yep. And that's his dog too. Yep. And so you think it's some seriousness there, or is also a ploy to tell front office that you better get this right this summer?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
A little bit of both. Because you think about after a game like that, you know, it does cross your mind. I'm sitting here, you know, post game. I don't want to be here. I'm hurting a little bit. I just put us in position to win.
Right.
And, you know, certain people who are supposed to be those guys didn't come through for me. And so, yeah, I'm thinking about it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, you know.
Yeah, got to get him out of there. So, man, it's so frustrating, too. It's so frustrating to see. But, you know, we'll talk about some of the things they got popping. So they say the trade rumor is the Lakers have had internal talks about a hypothetical offer for Trae Young. And now this is what I'll say. Atlanta, you were in the playoffs giving Boston a little bit of trouble because only of Trae Young. And you had the front office slip up during the season, talk about, hey, we don't think we could win with this guy and go. I don't know what you're going to do otherwise. All right, maybe you can take AD. You can have him.
Yeah,
right?
Dominique ain't coming back anytime soon.
What, man? So they talking about a hypothetical trade offer. And so what would a Laker team look like with Bron and Trae Young? Now, the beautiful thing is that whether it's Trae Young or Kyrie, Austin Reeves can play alongside any of them. Mm-hmm. And so you don't lose anything, and he can play both sides. And that also allows if LeBron stays, Kyrie can play 2 off the ball as well. And so what would a Trae Young addition look like with the Lakers?
Let's just say LeBron won't have to handle the ball in the clutch anymore.
Oh,
He can play off the ball and make, now instead of making plays for other people and setting everything up, he'll be the recipient of that. You run a pick and roll with him and Trae Young, something's got to give. If not, Trae's going to knock your head off. If not, LeBron's going to roll to the, short post. I mean,
And think about the open threes Trae Young could get to where he could get, LeBron could facilitate for him.
Yeah.
What? It's interesting. And then, Kyrie was at the game too. You got Trae Young over there, Kyrie sitting over there just watching D-Lo stink it up.
Them guys all got homes in L.A. They on vacation.
They was at 2 games, King. They were at 2 of them. That's funny, man. So I'm sitting there looking like, yeah, something got to happen. Something got to happen. So we'll see what that looks like. But let's get into Jimmy Buckets and Coach Spo. The Heat have been whooping the Celtics' ass. Ain't no way around it. What Pat Bev said, belt to ass. Spank him. 3-0, King. And they might have got a 30-piece last game. And it wasn't that close.
Yeah, the Celtics just quit. They just quit. They got internal strife too, man. Like, coach got fired
off an emotional decision. Yeah. Front office made an emotional decision.
Yeah, screwed up. Let him go, and then, you bring in a young guy, a young guy. So it's like it's hard to have the locker room when things go bad when you're so young. You know what I'm saying?
And remember, he was third, though, because Will Hardy, who's in Utah, he left too, because he probably would have been next in line for that. Yeah. And so he went from second row to head guy.
Yeah. And probably the biggest problem the Celtics have is that multiple years Jaylen Brown's been on the trading block.
Yeah. Kind
of disrespecting that man. Yeah. And so, he hears and sees all these things, and it's got to affect him a little bit because Tatum is a world-class talent, but you can't overlook what Jaylen Brown's done either. Yes. Because to me, Tatum wouldn't be Tatum without Jaylen Brown.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely. And then when I look at it, like I see moments where I think the game that I started to watch, game 3 or 2, the first play of the game was drawn up for Marcus Smart. And now I'm not a professional coach, an NBA coach, and I'm still, trying to learn some things, but I know if I need to get somebody going, knowing that Jaylen Brown only took 4 shots in overtime the game before, like 4 shots in the fourth quarter the game before, I need to start and make sure he gets touches, he gets it going. You're going to start with a post play for Marcus Smart. Cool, he scored. But what type of, that's the part about coaching to where you understand that the decision I make ain't just about whether we get a bucket right now, but if I can get my guy engaged. How do I get him engaged? You used to do that all the time at TC. I hated it. But if you didn't do it, Billy won't go. He won't go. You know what I'm saying? We had to get Big Dog early touch so he can rebound and everything the rest of the game. Yeah. Like, how do you do that, Jaylen Brown?
Hey man, like I said, sometimes, and it happens all the time because there's always Monday. What do they call it? Monday morning quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get to them today, too, for sure.
It's always somebody saying that, you got to spread the ball around a little bit more. Man, listen, in the pro game, there's 24 seconds. Mm-hmm. You ain't got time to be making 8, 9 passes and all that shit sometimes. Sometimes just get the ball to the best player and get out of his way, or run something for him. Just sometimes we out-coach ourselves sometimes.
Man, especially when you're young and you have no experience. Yep. See, firing Udoka really starting to... Udoka really starting to look at it like, yo, they fiending now. They wish they had me in that locker room. Because you remember that Udoka, they talk about Boston being an elite team, but they forget that when Udoka got there, their first part of the year, they were struggling until they got to the second half when they finally bought in and was seeing what he was doing. That's direct reflection of the coaching. Yep. And you let that go. Overstating your players that you had, not realizing what the coach did there. Mm. And now you come up against who is arguably the best coach in the NBA, Coach Spo. Yep. You know, Coach Spo has never won Coach of the Year award,
I know.
but he'll be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, definitely Hall of Famer.
Yeah, definitely. And so what are some of the things you see from Spo that makes him the best?
He's gonna coach his way, and don't get me wrong. Like I've always said this, the one thing that allows Coach Spo to be himself is the fact that he has undying support from the front office.
Yeah.
And that means so much. And a lot of other NBA organizations should take a look at that and say, man, why did we come up short last year? Well, maybe you got to give your coach, and his staff undying support to just do what they do. If they're unsuccessful, then you can get rid of them. But don't give them don't handcuff them and then expect miracles. And so Spoelstra, he's going to do whatever it takes to win. He's going to know. He's going to dissect you. And he's going to force you to change the way you play. You know what I mean? And the one thing about him, he doesn't have an ego. Anytime you see Bam running the point, Spo saw something, believes in his players, gives them the utmost confidence, and all he asks them to do is just execute and play hard. Yeah. That's it. And shit, they got 3 or 4 guys that were undrafted on the squad.
Yeah.
That's balling.
Killing. And that's been a topic of discussion, like calling people undrafted. Like it's almost like a term like, yo, these guys weren't good enough to be drafted. But the draft spots are limited, right? It's only so many people that get there. Because somebody's undrafted doesn't mean they can't get it done. But you sometimes, deals with agents, different type of things like that. But they got guys that can get it.
Yeah, well, you got to use that term. You know why? I think it puts spotlight on those guys because those guys are playing for the league minimum. You got other guys making guaranteed $10, $15 million and they ain't doing shit.
And I think that term is a bigger slap in the face to you scouts.
Yep.
Because you watched all of these films, but you guys keep
missing.
Talking about potential. Yep. And sometimes when we talk about potential, we can clearly see that this ain't there. So let's get to the star though. Who arguably the best player in the playoffs right now. Yeah, Jimmy B. Butler.
Man, can we say that rumor about him being Jordan's illegitimate son could be true? It could be true, man.
Man, they are saying that.
I'm just saying, so somewhere out there was somebody that,
This is my question now, right? I'm considering Jimmy a 2 guard. Based on the playoff performances we have seen consistently, based on what he's brought to every team he's played for, where does Jimmy rank all time in 2 guards? Because I think he's earned himself some namesake, especially because he's making his bones in the playoffs most prime time.
I definitely think he's moved into the top 10.
Yeah,
top 10.
Yeah,
now, getting to that top 5 is tough. But he's definitely in that top 10. Nobody's going to talk about him in terms of being in the top 10, but for me, I think he could be top 10.
Yeah, Jimmy's definitely shown improved because always he's 2 sides of the ball.
Yep.
2 sides of the ball. And then he talk about clutch, making things happen, carrying a team.
Yeah. And he could get more buckets in the regular season, but he plays for the team to win.
Yep, and he's working now. When he has to get buckets at the right time, he does. And so shout out to that. So most likely we got a Heat and Nuggets finals. Where are you going with that?
That's a tough one just because I'm probably going to lean towards Denver because they got Joker. Yeah. That's a matchup nightmare. But shit, man, you don't know what Spo might throw out.
That's the thing too, right?
Like he might throw out something to completely neutralize Murray.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's where because Kyle Lowry has been playing big. All of the guards have been playing big, and Tyler Hero will be back in the finals if they make.
What?
Yeah, they said that he will be back. He would be like it was like a 4 to 6 week thing, and so Shaq was like, "No, we don't need no more heroes." Yeah. But if you get that back, even if you bringing them off the pine, because Duncan Robinson has been heating it up, everything, and so Joker makes the difference in that space because it's going to be a handful for Bam, but also it's going to be a handful for whoever has to guard Bam. Because Bam initiates offense the same way he does with the athleticism too. I would go, it's going to be a coaching sparring match for me when I look at this. Joker is the Joker.
And listen, I know what you're saying. Like Malone is a good coach. Spoelstra is a great coach. and the coaching advantage may go to the Heat. But shit,
The Joker's the Joker, right? The Joker's the Joker.
Like,
and so
Bam's got to play out of his mind. Just has to.
Bam and Kevin Love got to have some big nights. And they need Tyler Hero back. They need Tyler Hero back for that. But I'm going Denver in 6. Denver in 6. And I think they got home court advantage too. So
Yeah, they should.
that elevation is definitely knocking people out of there.
Yeah, because the Heat, they won the play-in game, right?
Yeah. And so to end the pod, King, I was watching the game I told you, and Jeff Van Gundy brought up a point. He said that he was listening to an interview, a press conference with Darvin Ham, and he was talking about the reporter asked him about, hey, what adjustments are you making? And Darvin Ham said, right now you guys are overusing that word. Right? Sometimes you guys are mistaking adjustments and not realizing that it's player performance. Right? As coaches, we're making some things good, but you guys don't really understand what adjustments is. And so this is what we talked about social media. The reason why that word adjustment is going around so much is people that they see somebody talk about basketball once or twice on Twitter, and they say, oh, yeah, he didn't make no adjustments, not knowing that you got to look to see what's going on, because a coach can tell you something in the huddle and they kick or that player still go out there and not do it. And just understanding, like, coaches are losing their jobs because of player performance. But the narrative is that, hey, he didn't make any adjustments. That's how they killing Doc Rivers for that.
I'm pissed about that, man. You know, I don't know Doc personally or anything like that, but Doc takes a lot of flack for people that are supposed to be superstars not showing up. I don't care. You can put Phil Jackson, whoever, Pat Riley, whoever on the court. You know, listen, if their guys aren't performing, they wouldn't be who they are.
Right.
There ain't no Phil Jackson without Kobe, Shaq, MJ, Pippen, Rodman. There ain't no Pat Riley without Magic, Worthy, and those cats. Kareem. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? That Philly series, Embiid is our guy. He ain't show up. James Harden disappeared. I'm sorry.
But talk about what that process is like, right? You've coached in a playoff series before, right? So when you talk about adjustments, whether it's in-game adjustments or game-to-game adjustments, how does that process go? And then where does it fall short?
Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying, you're going into a playoff series. And I think I talked about this with the guys the other day. There's nothing new that you're going to throw out there that the other team doesn't know about. Like, that's just bottom line. Everybody's pretty much got similar plays. And you've been scouted so much that they know what you're going to call. The only thing you might do, you might change the play call, the name of it or something. But they know what you're going to run, right? You throw a little wrinkle here and there, and you know, you go over it, film session, you go over in practice, shoot around, talk about, you know, what the scouting report is going to be, and you know, pregame you talk about it. Then you go out there right before the game, you go over it again, like you said. But once they walk away from you, it's up to them to remember that stuff. It's up to them to execute that stuff. And at some point in time in the playoffs, especially this deep in the playoffs in the NBA, it comes down to, is your man going to execute your play better than the other guy? That's bottom line. Is your guy going to get a stop when there needs to be a stop? Is your guy going to remember their coverage when they need to remember their coverage? Is your guy going to make the shot of the play that was run for them? That's what it boils down to, man. Stars, you know, people can say whatever they want. Listen, I'm going to give you an example. Brad Stevens is a great basketball mind. Brad Stevens ain't shit if his stars don't play. I'm sorry. They got to come through. You got to make a bucket. You got to stop a bucket. You know what I'm saying? You got to make the right pass. That's just what it comes down to, man. Guys, you have to give your coach a chance to win the game for you in the clutch. That's just bottom line. Now,
something that just came up when I was listening to this, because you talked about it a lot, right? In-game adjustments or any adjustments that you make as a coach, you may think of a million different things, but if you don't have the brains, the basketball IQ to do it, it's stuck. Like, I think about, you know, high school, college. Like, my coach, for me, you can give me a read in the game, and I can be like, all right, we can make that adjustments. But for my guy Woody, he can be like, look, that's too much for me right now, coach. I go from here and there. And so you guys may be watching and be like, yo, he's not making an adjustment. But the coach is a mind, a basketball mind. players sometimes are really just athleticism. Yeah. Really just like, I got a knack for getting here. But if you tell me, all right, look, right now, we haven't practiced this yet, but we're going to trap him every time he comes off to his left hand. We haven't practiced it before, but we're going to do that to throw a wrinkle at him. A lot of people aren't disciplined enough, or they don't know. Like,
that's what I was going to say. You don't know what you don't know, because up until this point, you may not have been taught that, or maybe you heard it for sure, you saw it, but you weren't held accountable for it.
Yeah.
So if you're not held accountable for it, how you expect to have discipline all of a sudden?
Yeah.
That shit just don't happen. Remember, without the discipline,
can't have freedom,
and you already made $20 million, it's hard for you to
back.
change right now. And so, I'm not going to say that, the guys don't have the IQ for it, but maybe they don't have the willingness to just follow directions and completely believe in what their coach is preaching.
Nah, King. I think we can say they don't have the IQ.
All right, that's some of them.
Because
not all of them.
Think about it though, right?
Not all of them.
Our era right now, and watching the Lakers and watching a lot of these guys, we talk about how a lot of guys are like cone drill guys. Yeah. They don't play enough. Like the IQ is not going to grow if you're only doing stationary or personal training type of things, because you got to be in and out. We see it now when we play, right? But then the other part is you don't watch enough film. Watch film the right way, because if you watch enough, you see enough basketball, you can easily make those adjustments if you've seen enough of it and you've done your job with some discipline and all those things. But yeah, get off the coach's back.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You really can't make adjustments like that. Like, those are you guys that never played basketball, because man, I've been with some players on the team, like, and it's tough. It's tough to where, like, you got to have a guy like Jimmy Butler or whatever that can talk to everybody and help them get into their spots or whatever. But yeah, it's not just that. And then
too many coaches, especially this year, man. Too many coaches lost their job because players weren't performing. I'm sorry, that's just bottom line. People need to, these guys sitting behind the computers and shit. Like, y'all don't know shit. I'm sorry.
Facts.
Like, you sitting here talking about this guy should be doing this, whatever. Well, this guy wasn't doing that before he got there.
Facts.
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 If he or she was doing it before, you know what I'm saying, they'd be in a different situation. That's just bottom line, man. You guys got to step up, man. And speak up for their coaches. If you know you play like shit, so I know I'm cursing a lot, but I'm passionate about this. If you know you play like shit, just own up to it, you know what I'm saying, and have your coaches back, because that coach believed in you. You know what I'm saying? When your season was up and down, you were a little inconsistent, or you might have been injured or what have you, that coach believed in you and tried to put you in the right situation, and you just didn't come through. So have their back, man.
That is something, and I know you wanted to talk about that. You talked about that plenty of times before. Like, coaches, man, they always get the short end of the stick, man. But that's it for today. A lot of love today. Shout out to Lee Bueller with the mix. All of you guys that typically watch on YouTube, you might want to go, jump in on the audio just for a little bit to see what the action is about. But you guys know how we end it all the time. BTG Nation. Here we go with the post-game wrap-up. OG, what you got for us?
All right, let me pull up something I had. I'm always hearing stuff or seeing stuff, and I put it on my wall. And so I saw something the other day, man. It hit me because it was something that pertained to us talking to our players this Sunday. And it was, anything worth doing is worth doing well. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like, you show up for work, it's work, what your responsibilities are. So be prepared to work. I've said something similar to this before, but this is a different way of putting it. You know what I'm saying? Anything worth doing is worth doing well.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I love that. I'm gonna say that again, of course, to the team.
Yeah, I'll just add to that something that stays in and that our players can have. But your own struggles can help others get through their struggles, and you'll find the purpose of your pain and its reward, right? And so, for basketball-wise, when you think about building a program, there's a group of young men and women that got to watch the older guys go through the gauntlet. And so they see what that fire is like, right? They see what those practices look like. those boot camps look like, and then they see what it looks like at the game time. Well, most people only see game time.
Right.
And so they can see what those sacrifices, those pain look like, and why there's a reward for that. And so during that time, you may not be the group that wins. You may not be the group that wins the BGL for Hoop Mountain, but your progress in developing the culture and the community may be the inspiration and the picture that the young bucks needed to see for that to grow. And then, you know, just in life, period, sometimes you can just learn through somebody else's struggle, because through struggle we get taught things that some people just can't see. And so that's what we're going to end it off tonight. BTG Nation, like, subscribe, follow, share, let everybody know we out here. We're trying to do it. We're going to keep doing it. Hoop Mountain Dubai, Hoop Mountain DXB, hoopmountain.ae. Like, subscribe, talk to us, bump and run. As always, keep it real, keep it simple, and keep going.
Player and coach, the brother to brother. They both got views that you need to discover. From sports, current events to just life talk. Whether you on a fast break or a nice walk, gotta tune in, you already know, G. This BTG Nation and you one of the homies. Just tune in, you already know, G. BTG Nation, the other ones in the nosebleeds.